Good morning and welcome to the Black and White Messages. This is your pastor, Matthews George from the First Baptist Church of Blythe here in California. And the question is, what identity will you identify yourself today? And there are two options here. Will you deal with life based on what you consider you bring to the table? Or would you deal with life based on who you are as a believer? Child of God. I love the story in 1 Samuel 17 where the Israelite army faces the Philistine army in the valley of Elah. So on the first day of the face-off, the Philistines sent out their champion warrior, Goliath the giant, who challenges the Israelite army to send out its best man to fight him. Remember, the Israelites' army was the army of the Most High God, who promised them victory over their enemies. Yet the Bible says, on hearing the Philistines' words, Saul and all the Israelites were distraught and they were terrified. And for 40 days Goliath came every morning and every evening challenging the army of the Israelites. Now the question is, why did the Israelites not take up the challenge and fight? Well, they looked into the face of their problem and they saw the giant Goliath and they were mesmerized in fear and hopelessness. As a result, they forgot who they truly were. And this happens to us too. We can look at the giants of our life, the challenges that knocks on our door every day. And we can compare our puny self, not capable of defeating our problems. And yes, alone, we cannot defeat these problems. And the story goes on as David shows up as a lunch boy. He's delivering food to his brothers who are fighting at the forefront of the battle. David ran to the battle lines and he sees how his brothers were doing, and on reaching there, he hears Goliath make his usual challenge. And David asks a pertinent question. Who is this man? Who is this man who defies the armies of the living God? David knew who he was as a child of God. It was not little David versus mighty Goliath. No. It was David who was clear of his identity as God's own. He knew victory was his. With God on his side, a sling and a stone was just a means. And we know how the story goes. David defeats Goliath. How are we looking at our problems this morning? Are we hiding in our fear closets, petrified by the challenges of our enemies? Or like David, are we resting on God's presence, on God's power, on God's grace to lead us to victory? This morning, my dear friends, get out of your fear locker. Remember, God did not give you a spirit of timidity, but God gave you a spirit of power, of love, and of self-control. May these words be a blessing to you this week. Amen.